Hosanna! Yeshua's entry into Jerusalem on the 10th of Nisan as the Passover lamb. Entry into Jerusalem and symbolism of the two donkeys. In Matthew 21 verse 2, Jesus said, "Go into the village opposite you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me." Matthew uniquely mentions both the donkey, mother, and the colt, young donkey. Mother donkey is Israel, Old Covenant. The donkey is not discarded but accompanies the colt, a beautiful symbol of continuity between old and new. Luke 19:30, "Go into the village opposite you, whereas you enter you will find a colt tied, on which no one has ever sat. Loose it and bring it here." Luke focuses only on the colt and emphasizes it has never been ridden, suggesting something new, uninitiated, or set apart. Jesus rides the colt, not the mother. Colt represents the church, new covenant, never ridden, a symbol of a new vessel, set apart for the king. A fulfillment of Zechariah 9 verse 9, "Behold, your king is coming to you, righteous and having salvation is he, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The church doesn't replace Israel, but is birthed out of her, like a colt from a donkey. Israel is the mother, the covenantal root. The church is the offspring, the new covenant community. Both are tied, bound, until the Lord calls them for his redemptive purpose. The colt carrying the king into Jerusalem could foreshadow the church bearing Christ's presence to the world. Yeshua came from the tribe of Judah. His blessing in Genesis 49 verse 11 state, "He ties his donkey to the vine," Hosea 10 verse 1, "his colt to the choicest branch. He washes his garments in wine, his robe in the blood of grapes." Israel is the vine and the choice vine is the Gentile church. Through Yeshua's blood the old covenant and the new covenant will be established. The lamb was brought into the house that would be offered on Passover on the 10th of Nisan to be cared for and inspected. Yeshua entered Jerusalem and presented himself to the elders in the temple. A donkey colt is typically weaned around 4 to 6 months of age. Donkeys can be ridden when they are at least 2 to 3 years old, though they may be trained earlier. For a colt to carry a full-grown man, like Jesus, into Jerusalem, it must have been at least 2 years old, likely more, young but strong enough to bear weight. Still considered a colt because it hadn't been ridden or worked yet. In Yeshua's first coming he rode a humble donkey, but in his second coming he will ride a white warhorse symbolizing royalty and power. His first coming's mission was to suffer, save, and redeem, and in his second coming he will reign, restore, and judge. In his first coming his audience was Israel, but in his second coming every eye will see him. With his first entry, the church was born to the blinded Israel, Romans 11 verse 25, but in his second coming Israel will be restored and his kingdom established forever, Zechariah 14 verse 9. In his first coming the church was a young spirited-filled colt, but in his second coming the church will be an army following their king. Yeshua entered the Eastern Gate in Jerusalem, which is also called the Golden Gate or Groom's Gate. Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 17 states, "Solomon, in his wisdom, built 2 gates in the temple, one for grooms and one for mourners and the excommunicated." Israel would go up to the temple and see who entered through which gate. If a man entered by the gate of grooms, they knew he had just married and would say, "May he who dwells in this house gladden you with sons and daughters." If he entered by the gate of mourners, they knew he was grieving, and they would say, "May he who dwells in this house comfort you." The groom's gate, referred to in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, may correspond to the eastern gate of the Temple Mount, also known historically as the Golden Gate, Sha'ar Harakamim, or Gate of Mercy. The Eastern Gate, known as the Mercy Gate and Golden Gate. Ezekiel describes the temple courts as having 3 gates each, the main one in the east, and 2 others in the south and north. It is striking that no entrance is described in the west. Yeshua entered the Eastern Gate of New Beginnings. The groom entered the covenant, Isaiah 62 verse 5. The Messiah is prophesied to enter the Eastern Gate in Ezekiel 44 as well as the bridegroom of Israel, Hosea 2 verses 16 to 20. In the Mishnah Midat 2 verse 2, Israel expects their Messiah to enter through the eastern gate.
Dust on his sandals, morning still gray, olives on branches facing the way. Tethered beside him, a small trembling foal, Israel watching this promise unfold. Crowds spill like water down every stone stair. Questions and rumors thick in the air. Hosanna, Hosanna, chosen Lamb, rise through our cries. Through the eastern groom's gate, he will pay the Mohawk price. Mother waits, cold carries all the hope we cannot hide. Hosanna, Hosanna, here he comes to claim his bride. Mother stands steady, her eyes old with loss. She knows the covenant written in cost. Cold feels the shouting, flinches at sound. Cloaks on his backbone, palms on the ground. Hearts like a hillside, ready to break. Every "come save us" echoes his name. Hosanna, Hosanna, chosen Lamb, rides through our cries. Through the eastern groom's gate, he will pay the Mohawk price. Mother waits, cold carries all the hope we cannot hide. Hosanna, Hosanna, here he comes to claim his bride. See the leaves like rivers waving. Oh, see the Lamb who walks to die. See the groom who brings the payment in his own blood.